All right, so determine the efficiency of the cycle ABCA. Well, the efficiency is always the net amount of work divided by the heat that flowed in, okay? Now, the only place heat flows in is here, right? And we know from the previous problem that that is 7,500 joules, right? There's a whole page where we figured out that what the work was. Well, we'll look at it here in a second, right? Okay, so we know that. We just have to figure out what the net amount of work is, okay? So let's look at these processes. Let's go AB, BC, CA. And let's look at them in terms of the heat flow, the change in internal energy, and the work done, right? So for AB, we know that 7,500 flows in, and that's 4,500 here, and 3,000 here, right? And then for BC, we know that the amount of work is 0 because the piston doesn't move, okay? We also know that it goes back to that same temperature, so this has to be negative 4,500. And this has to be negative 4,500. Right? Here's why, right? Because we know it goes from 1,600 back to 400, right? So when it went from 400 to 1,600, it increased by 4,500. When it goes back, it decreases, right? Okay. And then for CA, we know that the work done on the gas is 1,390. Right? We know that the change in internal energy is 0, and therefore the heat that flowed out had to be negative 1,390. Okay? Now, when you look at this process here, there's a few things that you'll do if you ever add them up, and I recommend you do this for processes, right? This has to add to 0. There has to be that this thing adds to 0, right? Okay? Now, if you look at this guy, the net amount of work is 3,000 minus 1,390. So it's 1,610. Okay? What do you suppose this has to add up to for the whole process? Well, let's try it. 7,500 minus 4,500 minus 1,390. Hey, 1,610, right? So the net effect of this whole process is that 1,610 joules flows in, we get that much work out, okay? Now, when you figure out the efficiency, you want to do the net work. This has to be the net work here. Not the network, but the net work divided by the heat in. The net work is 1,610. The heat that flowed in is this guy. That's how much we burned that much fuel, right? Okay, so 1,610 divided by 7,500 is 0.2146 bar, right? So we would say about 0.215 if we believed that there was 3 sig figs, okay? And that's the right answer. So just remember, it's the heat that flows in, and then you want to figure out what the net amount of work is, okay? Net work divided by heat in is our efficiency. All right.